My next guest has been literally a heart of alternative comedy since, 1980s, I'd say. Helen Lederer has been a regular stand-up circuit, of course. She's been in sketch shows, appearing alongside the likes of French and Saunders and Rick Mail and Adi Edmondson as well, amongst many others. And you'll probably, I think it's fair to say, best know her for her role in all 6 series of Ab Fab as well. But now she's coming to our neck of the woods with a show called Not That I'm Bitter, which is a frank and moving and funny memoir. You'd expect nothing less from her. And she's going to be in West Yorkshire this coming Friday, appearing at the Lawrence Batley Theatre as part of the Huddersfield Literature Festival. And I'm pleased to say Helen's with us this morning to tell us more. Helen, how are you?
Oh, it's lovely to be with you, Steve. Yes, I'm so excited to come to Huddersfield. I have been there before, and you have a very nice railway station.
Yes,
I remember having
Square's
a few
lovely.
drinks.
Yeah.
I had a very nice, there's a bar there. Obviously, I like to find the bars.
Mm-hmm.
But this is part of the literary festival. So it's kind of like an interview about the memoir. Now, Steve, have you read the memoir? I'm just going to put you on the spot.
I have not read the memoir. No book.
You could always get the audio tape.
Oh, right. Okay, this is good. Not That I'm Bitter.
Which do you prefer? Yeah, which do you prefer?
I would prefer
reading or listening?
I like listening quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I like putting the headphones on at bedtime and just listening, chilling out at the end of the day. It's good. It's good for me. It's a good time.
And with a comedy, because the book it's alarmingly truthful, which is not an entire compliment, but it is. Mm. I think sometimes, as you say, if you're a kind of audio person, aren't you? That you can, as long as there's comedy content, it's in the voice, it's in the timing. So sometimes you miss that. Sometimes if you're reading, because some of the stuff in it is a bit alarming. So I kind of feel I have to kind of guide the listener or the reader, the reader into the landscape.
Yeah. Why have you called it Not That I'm Bitter?
Well, there's an attempt at the irony in the title, because I'm not bitter. I mean, I'm not, but that thing when you're having to collect up your experiences about being in a relatively competitive world, as perhaps yours is, and then you have to couch what you're saying in a positive way. When you're talking to somebody and you go, oh, yes, and so, and they turn me down. Not that I'm bitter. And it's just that thing that you do sort of protest too much, isn't it? But it's basically to laugh at life, what life throws at you, which is basically a lot of lemons. It does throw that at you in all our lives. And I think you have to put the sticky bits in and the not pretty bits in, as well as the kind of funny bits.
Yeah.
Because I think sticky bits and awkward bits make me laugh. I mean, what makes you laugh, Steve?
Oh, do you know what? It can be the silliest things, or it can be, a comedy show that I go to deliberately looking for laughs, or it can just be, the way someone looks at me at a particular moment, like
exactly
like producer Darren is doing right now. Actually, he's giving me the 7 mile stare.
Is he? Yeah. But it is about. I wonder what does that mean? The 7 mile stare. What does that mean? Explain.
It says "do better, Steve." I think that's what it's meaning.
No, but that's like the human nature. So my definition is when somebody falls over and then they pretend they haven't.
Yeah,
I find that funny. Just glimpses of just the fact we're probably all the same at some level. And then it makes you feel connected that, life's a bit tricky at times, and that makes me laugh.
I've just got a feeling that you might have a sequel here. So you've got Not That I'm Bitter, and then you could have a sequel, Not That I'm Bitter, but. Do you know what I mean? You can have a second book coming out. Can I ask you, were you a natural performer? Did you always crave the spotlight from a young age?
No. The spotlight isn't the thing. And also, I did do a kind of slightly dodgy 1 year at drama school, I have to say, but it wasn't the full Monty. And they hadn't invented reality TV in those days, because that's all that stuff, which is nothing wrong with reality. But, paths were very different in those days. So you had to kind of produce content to get on, So I don't know why I wanted to do stand-up comedy. I marvel at that urge now, but it was a very genuine urge. It's like, when you start out in anything, you identify that thing is what you want above all else. isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's quite, and you must have done.
And you do anything to do it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, yes, but when you've got that, an ambition is not always looked on well in a woman, particularly in those days. But I'd read the Stage newspaper. Do you remember that? I'd look for jobs. I'd phone people up.
Yeah.
You have to be a bit persistent to get somewhere after all. But those are the other sides of it. But it is, being a keen person is not always that attractive, is it? Being keen, it's a bit uncool.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You got to play it cool is better, but I'm useless at cool, mate. So that's
I'm
not
useless at cool. I'm that person who speaks too much. I fill the silences. I'm not a cool human. But I didn't ever get my sitcom. Not that I'm bitter, but I just think it's quite interesting to just be here at this age, looking back at the bits and bobs I did and the bits and bobs I didn't do.
Yeah, yeah. Can I ask you, what are you most proud of? Because obviously you're going to be talking about life's ups and downs and the funny and the moving bits. What are you most proud of doing?
Well, I'm not really a very proud person, and that isn't a natural. What I enjoyed doing the most was Happy Families. You're probably too young to remember that.
I'm far too young to remember that, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just tell you then as a bedtime story. Ben Elton wrote it, and it was on BBC Two, and it had all, like, Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie. I played a rather odd maid to Dawn French, who played cook. All of them got series. I didn't, not that a bit, but it was a kind of breakthrough, bit of a kind of niche comedy.
I get you. I'm just wondering if you were to have focus on one of the downsides a bit. And I don't want to bring you down or anything, but you mentioned this, this is a funny, moving, quite frank memoir. What aspect of it was a bit difficult to maybe put in and share with people in the Lawrence Battley in Huddersfield on Friday?
Well, I try and go with the comedy in all things. But then, if you think about, like, you can't then not put in the bit. I always think people be critical. Why didn't you put that in? My obsession with weight, I think people may relate to, not you necessarily, but in my day, everyone was on a diet, and now we talk about it very differently and mindfully. But mindful wasn't a word in the 80s and 90s. Nobody was mindful. I talk about the death of my father, but I think you have to go there and then know. I want the reader or the listener to know that you turn the page, and then we're doing something quite bizarre and surreal and true. You can't have a lot. I suspect most people haven't had a life where there haven't been the downs as well as the ups. So it kind of ricochets around those things. But all I really wanted, or ultimately I wanted it to be a book that people would laugh at. So when I do the chat at the Huddersfield, I hope people are coming. This is so kind of you to allow me to even be on your radio show. I hope people will be in chairs, because that would be just awful if there was no one there. I wonder what I'd do. What would you do if you went to a theatre and there was no one there except the interviewer? What would your action be?
If there was no one there apart from the interview, if it was just me and you, I would offer you to go to the pub, and then we'd just do a similar version, but in the pub with a glass of wine or two. That's what I'd do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's making a decent fist of it.
Yeah,
I think but
you're not going to be in that position, Helen, because everyone knows you. Well, they love you, and they're going to be there.
You just never know. You just never know. You just never know. I suppose if the front row is full, that's we can work with that, can't we?
I think you'll work with more than that. Can I ask you why write the memoir? What triggered you to want to do it at this moment in time?
Well, I'm old, and I think in the front of the book, there's this passive-aggressive picture of my CV, because I couldn't remember that I'd done things, and I've been in, there were comedy programs, and I know some people like 80s and 90s comedy programs, and, so it isn't all about that. But I go, oh, and then there's a university in Kent that has a stand-up comedy archive, so it's a kind of thing of just going, you know what? I'm just going to remember what I've done. I'll put it down. It may be of interest. It may be of interest.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Well, you know what? The Lawrence Battley is a great venue to do something like this. So I wish you the best of luck with that.
What's it like?
Absolutely.
Is there a bar there, Steve?
Yeah, I think there is a bar there. It's small. It's just near the University of Huddersfield. It's right in the centre of town. It's in a lovely neck of the woods. There's quite a few bars nearby as well. So you'll be able to have a debrief afterwards. It's all good, my friend.
Fantastic.
Best of luck with the success of the memoir.
Thank you.
Of course, the gig on Friday, the talk on Friday as part of the Lit Fest. And don't forget the subsequent, not that I'm bitter, but, I've got the copyright on that now as well.
Yeah, I'll acknowledge you.
Nice one.
Courtesy of Steve.
Listen, it's lovely to chat to you, Helen. I wish you the best of luck. Make sure you come and say hello next time you're in our neck of the woods, won't you?
I will.
Nice
I
one.
will.
All right. Speak to you soon. Take care. Helen Lederer there, who's talking about that particular talk. Huddersfield's Lawrence Battley this coming Friday. Make sure you check it out. You can get tickets, of course, by searching for the Lawrence Battley Theatre. It's on 7 till 8 on Friday evening.